After about a year of courtship, we got married. The whole conversation on the mountain where the university was located was on what the baby would look like. Some said the baby would be checkered. Some said it would be black on one side and white on the other. Some said it would look like a zebra. It was during the years of 3 hard years that they had in China where there was very little food to eat because they were paying back a huge Korean War debt to the Soviet Union. I had been offered extra rations, but I said, well, since I lived in China, I'll just live like the rest of the people. And I turned them down. So, but a lot of times when the fishermen called, they would steal a few fish and bring it to me so that I could make some soup for my daughter. Like this old farmer, for instance, that he had a huge family of his own, and he had a hen that laid an egg, and he wanted to get to the house so that we could have that one egg for breakfast. And that's how the ordinary people treat us.
He managed to get in contact with the Beijing office of Voice of Hanoi. He made broadcast speeches to the black soldiers fighting in Vietnam, urging them to go back home and fight for racial equality and their own freedom. So I think he did his share toward world peace and international understanding.
Turncoat Richard Tennyson, flanked by Red Cross officials and local police. He is one of 21 former American PWs who refused repatriation in Korea and chose to live in communist China. The 22-year-old turncoat takes his first steps of freedom en route home to Alden, Minnesota.
Most of the former POWs left China before 1966, but found they were not welcome back in the USA. It was hard to find work, and 2 were committed to mental hospitals.
The embassies, of course, was supplying me with whiskey and so forth. And I did a lot of little cooking there on my own, American food, soul food. And even the ambassadors, when they heard that I was cooking, they came around. And they supplied the booze and I the food. And we had a nice time. However, the Chinese was noticing this sort of relationship. And they didn't particularly like it. So they asked me to cut down on it. And the Chinese have a way of letting you know what they think about you. When we first went to China, they called us comrades. And after some years in China, they switched from comrades to calling us peace fighters, which means a step down. We're comrades, we one of them. When you become a peace fighter, you can be anybody fighting for peace. Then later on, the worst thing to be called in China is to be called a mister. Then they started addressing us as Mr. Adams. And then you know that you're completely out. When they start using that, when you become a mister, that's the worst thing to be.
Shortly before the 1966 Cultural Revolution, Clarence Adams decided it would be wise for him to return with his family to Memphis, Tennessee.
My wife at that point didn't want to come because a picture of America had been painted to her as a very terrible place to live, and there's discrimination and the crime, which is basically true. So it took me a while to convince her that everything would be all right.
When we got to San Francisco, every day, early in the morning, some men came and got my daddy, took him off. And later, of course, I found out it was the CIA and, you know, I don't know, maybe FBI, something like that.
当时要求留下来的22个美国人，又有人呢回去了。对，您那时候有没有动摇？想没想？干脆就是回美国。
我没有动摇回美国，我选择到中国来，我永远不会后悔。
During the Cultural Revolution in the 1960s, young Red Guards tried to arrest Veneris, accusing him of spying for America. His comrades at work protected him, and Premier Zhou Enlai declared Veneris an international peace fighter, and that he was not to be harmed.
这个是老部分。
这个石老是我的姑娘，挺漂亮。这个是老大，他可会做菜。他来了哈，我和他妈妈哈不干活了。这是老三，这是最棒的，也是我的保镖。哎，你不给我反对吗？哎呀，这么多年，31年了，一块儿了。
After his 2 years of studies in Beijing, Hawkins wanted to be a truck driver, and the Chinese Red Cross got him a job at a car parts factory in the city of Wuhan in southern China.
Yeah, this is my work town. This is where I lived and worked for over a year. The name of the factory, Wuhan Qixia Feizhenchang, was written on both sides. And I used to stop my truck here, let all the rest of the workers off. Yeah, part of the foundry, still have some of the machinery, and the lathes are here. I think this is one of the areas where Sullivan worked, in one of the machine shops. 你们好，你好，你好。我认识你啊，你好啊，好久没见了。你好，你好，recognize。你好，你好，你好，哎 ，long time，long time。你好，你好。你好。他是我的最好的朋友了，哎，最好的朋友。
This is a warehouse.
Yes.
Warehouse,
yeah.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
This is a garage.
Garage. Yeah.
Garage. But the garage is destroyed.
Just gone, yeah.
And then we rebuilt that building.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you can keep this photo. Keep this photo, okay?
David Hawkins explained to me why he decided to return to the USA in 1957 after a 7-year absence.
Where I've been gone long enough, the climate here is not the same as changing rapidly as well, and I think it's time that I went back and I'll face whatever's there. Then I'll just face it as I come to it.
Let's try to find out tonight, among other things, why he became a turncoat and why he returned home just 4 months ago.
Personally, I went to China to compare what I'd heard with what they actually practiced in China. I went because I was very curious by nature.
What had you heard?
Well, only what our Chinese captors had told us, how great they were working toward socialism and the great strides that they were taking in bettering the life of the Chinese people who for so many thousands of years had lived a life of oppression under various governments and was backward. And
well, why did you feel this sense of identification, of wanting to know about them? Had you not been told by our own army?
No.
They never discussed the Chinese?
No.
They never told you what to expect? Were you to be captured?
Yes, they said we'd be killed.
Did you hear about the Soviet Russians and what they did in Hungary?
That was the main thing that definitely made me take the step to return to the United States.
And when you made up your mind to come back to the United States, did they stand in your way? Did they try to persuade you to stay?
No.
Can we be sure that you yourself have not been sent back here in some manner to work on behalf of the Red Chinese?
You wouldn't know for sure.
Do they believe in our freedoms?
No, to them it's much different. And we have an aggressive government that's always hunting for war. And
do you believe that the United States should recognize Red China?
Personally, I think they should.
Why?
It's a very big thing. They have a very large land area. They have 650 million Chinese population. And it's like saying there's a big elephant in front of you and you say he's not there until he becomes powerful enough to step on you.
Do you expect that they will become powerful enough to step on us?
I have no doubt of that.